Before we talk about the tourism collapse, we must talk about the people Kashmir lost first, because the 30-year darkness in Kashmir's tourism did not begin with insurgency. It began with an exodus, one of the most painful and least spoken about events in modern Indian history. Who were the Kashmiri Pandits? The Kashmiri Pandits were the indigenous Hindu minority of the Kashmir Valley, one of the oldest communities on the Indian subcontinent. For thousands of years, scholars, astronomers, poets, administrators, they gave India Kallana's Rajatarangini, history's first structured chronicle. They gave the word Kashmir Shaivism, one of the deepest philosophical traditions known to humanity. They were not newcomers, they were Kashmir. What happened in 1990 was not the first time, it was the 7th, 14th century Sultan Sikandar Butshikan. Temples destroyed, forced conversions, first mass flight 15th to 16th century, Chak dynasty, renewed religious oppression 17th to 18th century, Afghan rule, brutal persecution, more flight 19th century, Sikh rule, partial recovery but instability continued 1931, riots against Dogra, rule spilled into anti-Pandit violence 1986, Sopore and Anantnag riots, temples burned, families fled 1990, the 7th, the final, the complete. January 19th, 1990, a Saturday night. The Kashmir Valley was cold, silent on the surface. Then, from the loudspeakers of mosques across the valley, coordinated slogans began at midnight. Convert, leave, or perish. Pandit families who had lived in their homes for generations looked out their windows. They heard their names being called out. They heard threats to their women. They heard across the valley, "Leave Kashmir, but leave your women behind." That night, January 19th, is now observed every year as Exodus Day by the Kashmiri Hindu community. $75,343 Kashmiri Pandit families fled in January 1990 alone. Kashmiri Pandit Sangharsh Samiti. Approximately 70,000 more fled by March 1990. Total displaced 90,000 to 100,000 families, nearly the entire community. Wikipedia/Indian Home Ministry. By 2011, only 2,700 to 3,400 Pandits remained in the Kashmir Valley. Deaths confirmed by Indian Home Ministry. 217 Hindu civilians killed 1988 to 1991. Kashmiri Pandit Sangharsh Samiti estimate approximately 650 Pandits killed during Exodus period. Entire neighborhoods emptied within weeks. Centuries old communities gone. Families fled in buses with one suitcase. Some never even locked their doors. Approximately 50,000 Kashmiri Pandit agricultural families lost their ancestral lands overnight. Over 20,000 Kashmiri Pandit businesses destroyed, looted, or forcibly occupied. Properties abandoned, subsequently looted, burned, or illegally occupied. The Pandit community, which dominated educated professions, medicine, law, engineering, left Kashmir. Their departure didn't just break the social fabric, it broke the economy. And this directly is why Kashmir's tourism took 25 years to recover. The professional class was gone. The artisan, scholar, administrator community was gone. The trust that makes tourism possible was broken. (1990) B.K. Ganju, telecommunications engineer, found hiding in a rice container in his own home, shot dead. 1990, Girija Tiku, school teacher, abducted after returning to Kashmir to collect her salary, murdered by militants. January 23, 1998, Wandhama Massacre 23. Kashmiri Pandits killed by Pakistani militants in a single night in Wandhama village. March 23, 2003, Nadimarg Massacre 24. Kashmiri Pandits killed by Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists in Nadimarg, Pulwama. 11 men, 11 women, 2 small children. Victims ranged from 65 years old to 2 years old. Militants came dressed in fake army uniforms at night with silenced guns. The Kashmiri Pandits fled to Jammu, their own country. They were placed in refugee camps. Families who had owned properties, land, orchards in Kashmir now lived in one-room tents and cramped government quarters. 35 years later, the community still awaits justice. Only one family has officially returned to Kashmir since 1990. The fear has not gone away. The Invalid does not take a political position on this. We present the data, and the data says Kashmir's 30-year tourism darkness did not begin with insurgency alone. It began with the erasure of a community that had called this valley home for more than 5,000 years. This is Dal Lake, Srinagar, Kashmir. For centuries, poets, emperors, and travelers called it the closest thing to paradise on earth. In 2024, this paradise reached a milestone nobody expected. 2.36 crore tourists visited Jammu and Kashmir, the highest number in the region's recorded history. Foreign tourists doubled, hotels were overbooked, houseboats on Dal Lake had waitlist months in advance. Kashmir's economy was growing at 7%. Then April 22, 2025 happened. 26 people, mostly tourists, were killed in Baisaran Meadow near Pahalgam. In the days that followed, thousands of flights to Srinagar were cancelled. In the weeks that followed, 80% to 90% of bookings for the entire summer were withdrawn. Hotel occupancy fell from 95% to 5% within 72 hours. By September 2025, Kashmir received 9,000 tourists in the entire month. In September 2024, it had received 100,000. This video is not about the attack. This video is about what the attack did to 500,000 people whose entire livelihood depended on one word: tourism, and whether Kashmir can ever fully recover.
सभापति महोदय, आज मैं इस सम्मानीय सदन के सामने एक ऐतिहासिक संकल्प और बिल लेकर उपस्थित हुआ। सदन के सामने स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं, एज अ लेजिस्लेटर, मैं जब दोनों संकल्प और बिल लेकर आया हूं तो मैं मानता हूं कि जम्मू कश्मीर में एक लंबे रक्तपात भरे युग का अंत धारा 370 के समाप्त होने से बनेगा।
On August 5, 2019, Article 370 was abrogated, Internet was shut down, restrictions were imposed. Post-abrogation, August to December 2019, just 5.65 lakh tourists, a sharp dip from the pre-abrogation pace. But by 2021, something unexpected happened. Terror incidents, which had stood at 228 in 2018, fell to just 46 by 2023. A near 80% decline in security incidents. The government invested in infrastructure. Srinagar International Airport expanded, 75 new tourist destinations identified, an unprecedented ice motorsport event held on the frozen Dal Lake, a first of its kind G20 Tourism Working Group meeting in Srinagar. May 2023, Atal Tunnel connecting Manali to Lahore Spiti, improving overall Himalayan connectivity. The result was explosive. In 2020, 34.71 lakh tourists, COVID year, Vaishno Devi pilgrimage kept numbers from hitting zero. 2021, 1.13 crore, first post Article 370 boom. 2022, 1.89 crore, highest in 75 years at that time. 2023, 2.11 crore, new all-time record. 2024, 2.36 crore, another new record. International tourists from just 1,614 in 2021 to 65,452 in 2024, a 40-fold increase in just 3 years. This boom was real for real people. A shikara operator on Dal Lake who used to earn 15,000 rupees a month was now earning 50,000 rupees in peak season. Houseboat owners who had barely survived the 2000s had wait lists of 6 to 8 months for their best rooms. The number of registered homestays crossed 16,500 beds. Young Kashmiris who had left for Jammu or Delhi were coming back to set up hotels and tour operations. Kashmir's GDP projected to grow at 7.06% in 2024 to 25, per capita income rising at 10.6% per year. Then April 22, 2025 arrived, and everything changed in a single afternoon.